Good afternoon, everyone. This is another episode of Logically Speaking from Olivero Law. I'm here today to give you some information regarding prenuptial agreements here in Florida. So, if you're considering getting married and you're wondering whether or not a prenup should be a discussion that you and your future spouse need to consider or are considering, I'm going to cover some of the basics as to what prenuptial agreement is, how it can be done, what is included, what is excluded, and how can it be effective, and as well as some benefits and disadvantages of having a prenup. So starting right off the bat, what is a prenuptial agreement? Basically, a prenup or a premarital agreement is a binding contract that's signed by two people before they get married. And what that contract does, it outlines what each person's rights and obligations are in the event of a divorce or death. So that's the other thing to consider. A prenup isn't just for in case of divorce. It's also in case of a death. Even though anyone can get a prenup, it is better suited for people who have either a lot of assets they want to protect or they own a business that they would like to keep separate, or if they have children from a previous marriage that they would like to ensure and make clear future inheritances. So, for example, going into a marriage with your significant other, and you have two children from a previous relationship. You're anticipating getting an inheritance. Without a prenuptial agreement outlining that future inheritance will go to your children from your prior relationship, your spouse, your future spouse, once you guys get married, would otherwise be entitled to that inheritance, depending on certain factors and information. But you can already pretty much set aside what you want to have done with your assets, property, business, and inheritance before you get married, so that way you don't have to worry about it in case of a divorce or death. What are the requirements for a prenup in Florida? Basically, financial disclosure. You both need to know what the other person has going into the marriage. We'll need to sign the document in the presence of a notary and have two adult, unrelated witnesses, unrelated to either of you and to each other. You will also need, though not required, strongly encouraged, is to seek independent legal counseling before you sign. So have an attorney prepare your prenuptial agreement and have another attorney review it. So if your fiance gets an attorney, prepares a prenuptial agreement, you will now need to get an attorney to review it to make sure it's legally sound and does not conflict with public policy or law. What is excluded from a Florida prenup? Anything having to do with children as far as custody or child support. And not put children, time sharing, visitation, custody, or how much child support is going to be paid in the event of children. None those cannot be included and violates public policy and the law. So children are not to be included in your prenuptial agreement. Your prenup is effective when at the date of marriage. So you need to plan accordingly. You need to have enough time to prepare the prenup and have it signed before the marriage. Now, there are times where there are certain items that can become, or certain circumstances where things can become effective earlier than the date of marriage. So, for example, if someone inherits property after the prenup is signed, but before the marriage, that property may be exempt from the agreement. So, if you inherited property and you signed a prenup, so that property wasn't contemplated in your agreement, then it is not part of your prenuptial agreement. So, in case of divorce or death, that property needs to be decided, divided through the courts if necessary. The benefit to a prenup is several. Financial security in the event of a divorce, and it will basically already delegates who gets what, so that there's an avoidance of conflict if you get divorced. And it outlines the terms clearly and easily, which can make it save you a lot of time and money in the event of a divorce. Your terms, if your divorce terms are already decided in your prenuptial agreement, who gets what, who pays what for alimony, is alimony compensated, what happens with any assets, property, any assets, business, inheritance that is obtained after the marriage. Um, all of that is already laid out and decided. There's really very little to be fought over in case of a divorce. So your divorce could be resolved rather quickly. Disadvantage is that it can be hard to negotiate a fair and reasonable agreement, especially if you and your fiance are not on good terms. On top of that, if one of you disagrees to getting a prenup, signing it could be difficult, especially if your idea of a prenup do not align. So if you are considering signing a prenup, or if you want to discuss your options, I do recommend that you contact our office at Oliver Law, and so that we can help you walk you through what would be the best method for you and your future spouse. So thank you for coming forward and watching this video. We look forward to seeing you again soon in our next episode of Logically Speaking. Thank you.